All right, welcome everyone to a new YouTube video. It has actually been quite a while that I've, posted a YouTube video. I think the last one was about 2 years ago. And what I actually decided to do was really go into rest mode with my business. But before I really dive into what I've been up to the last 2 years, just a little bit about me in case this is your first time to my YouTube channel. My name is Sebastian. I'm the owner of MillionaireConsulting.com as well as AppointmentSetter.com. And combined, we do 700K cash per month with these two businesses. And these two businesses are separate from each other. Millionaire Consulting basically helps coaches and consultants start or scale, and AppointmentSetter.com basically helps people on 9 to 5 or beginner entrepreneurs become a high-ticket appointment setter. So with that being said, guys, I'm very excited to dive into the video. In today's video, I really just want to break down what I've been up to the last 2 years, and I've actually made 1.5-page doc right here on just big events that happened over the last 2 years, starting all the way from 2020, I would say like June to the day of today, and how everything has been going, how things have went, etc., etc. And I just really want to make it an authentic video, because the reason why I'm starting YouTube too is because I'm like always on Facebook and I'm always on Instagram, but like all these videos that I pour this effort into, they always have like a lifespan of 24 hours, and then it gets buried. And so I want to get on YouTube, showcase my personality more, give a lot of value, and make sure you can always learn something. And as we dive into the content of the video, we're going to be doing a weekly YouTube video on this channel, or that's going to be me, the one doing it. And with this presentation, I really just want to show you year by year what happened. So we're going to start at 2020, and then when I talk about 2021, I'm going to put it right there, and then from there, start talking about some of the big events that have happened. So guys, let's get started. I'm excited. So when it comes down to what happened over the last 2 years, it all started with me going into rest mode, because as you guys know, I was running my marketing agency for plastic surgeons, and I also had a agency coaching business where I was helping, beginner entrepreneurs, beginner agency owners, pretty much get their first few clients. But I kind of fell out of love with the game. And so what I did, and at the time I was still in Serbia, right? That's essentially, where I live together with my girlfriend, and we still live together. Like right now we're in this beautiful home here in the Netherlands. But at the time, I think we're talking about June 2020, and I just went into like full rest mode. And what it kind of meant was, I wasn't going full throttle with content. Like I stopped with YouTube. I almost like stopped with Facebook. I did one post a day there, but it was literally like 1 to 2 hour work days. And we were doing about, 20 to 30K a month combined with the agency and the coaching. And we really, from June 2020 all the way up to October 2020, we stopped with working a lot. Like as a matter of fact, we kind of went all out with just resting, because we worked for such a long time to build what we had built at the time. And kind of what it looked like was pretty simple. So, we wake up, we'd hit the gym and do our morning routine, and we do some work for 1 or 2 hours. But then the rest of the day, I'd be playing video games. I would be, eating bad food. And we would just Netflix and kind of like relax. So that was pretty much like June 2020 all the way up to October 2020. But then at a certain point, I was really just kind of done with resting. I was like, I know I can do more. I'm kind of like tired of just playing League of Legends all day and, just eating Nutella pancakes and, kind of beating around the bush, with my potential. And so what I did is, I started to look at like, okay, well, since I kind of like really fell out of love with what I'm doing here, what is going to be that next thing? And that's where I made one of the biggest stepping stones in my entrepreneurial career that I've made. And so what I did is actually invested into a mastermind, which is was from Tribe of Buyers. They've sold their coaching company actually about a year ago too. And so I made a 30K investment, which was significant for us. I think it was like about 1/4 of the cash reserve that we had at that time. And so we did that, we paid it in full, and we started in October. And long story short, it was a massive success, because that's when we launched Millionaire Consulting. And I'll share more of like the business takeaways and the things I've learned in other YouTube videos. I really just want to update you guys on like, over the last 2 years of what happened, which is going to be quite a lot, right? So I'll just keep it at that and the bullet points I prepared, okay? So, but anyway, so we launched that. We did 100K in our first month, which was incredible. And I really just used my Facebook audience that I had at the time, and also my Instagram audience a little bit, but primarily Facebook. And I really focused on just good content marketing. And also on building relationships with people that I had a really good connection with at the time as well, right? And we're also coaches. And so that's what happened. And then, so we did 100K cash in October. And in the next month, we had this momentum. So obviously we kept pushing. And so we did 110K cash in November. And then in December, we kind of dipped back because of, like Christmas. And so, we kind of relaxed and, really took our time. And also what I did is with Christmas, when I went to my father, I actually gave him a $45,000 check, just full cash to him in his bank, which by now is almost drained all the way back to like 3K in his bank, so he's obviously like enjoyed it. And then after that, we're still in Serbia at that time. We moved back to the Netherlands. We basically flew out, to my girlfriend's family, my family, we flew back to Serbia. We were like, hey, actually kind of want to get back to the Netherlands because, like the air is pretty polluted in Serbia and it's beautiful and all, it's very, very cheap. And I really love it, but my girlfriend didn't as much. And so, it's also, we mutually agreed that we wouldn't like want to raise a child here or, get a pet because, it's just very, very different, right? Because at the end of the day, like I think with taxes and, like being in a certain country, you pay for the quality of life there, right? And so we're really happy to do that here in the Netherlands, but we're also gonna move to Portugal, but I'll cover that in just a little bit. So going into 2021, right? So that's kind of what happened in 2020. Really just summarize as good as I could. And guys, if you got any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you personally. So going into 2021, but before we actually go into 2021, I actually celebrated New Year's Eve with an old friend of mine who also, really helped me get a lot of confidence at the beginning of my journey. His name is Zach, actually, and also a client. And after that, we were like, okay, great, we've done the Christmas, we've done the New Year's Eve, and now it's really time to go back into like, just full action mode. And so, guys, and I didn't even realize what I was, setting myself up to do like in those next 6 months that were to come. So I'm gonna start right now. So what we decided to do is we went all in on business from January, and I didn't travel once or even left the home. I mean, I left the home in times, of course, like go to the city, once every 2 to 3 weeks, which still like isn't common for a human being, right, to leave his home every 2 to 3 weeks. Like it's more day to day, because we also got a gym downstairs here, and we can just order food and all that good stuff. But anyway, it was really just pushing for 6 months straight, right? So in 2021 January, just to give you the breakdown of like what the growth looked like, it was insane, and I think very memorable for especially people in the coaching space, because I heard a lot like you've made a dent into the space, and it was never my intention to really kind of I guess do that or be heard, but I think like it's just a byproduct of what happens when you scale and you get your clients' results, obviously. And so in January we did 100K cash in January, and then in February we actually did 160K in cash, and then the next month in March we did, I'm just reading on my screen here just so I get you the right numbers, 240K cash in March, and then in April we did 360K cash. And then in May, so the month right after, it's all month by month, we did $443,000 in cash. And we did more in revenue, obviously, but I think the metric that really matters, is cash and profit. And then in June, we hit our first 500K cash month. And at the time, I felt like I was at my peak too, not just business-wise, but also just health-wise, because at the time, like guys, I think if you go to my Instagram, my Facebook, and you go to like June, July, like you see how skinny my face was, how like it just didn't look healthy at all, and right now it's still work in progress. Like I'm going to the gym again, I'm eating 3-4 meals a day, and things are great. Like, and I've hired multiple, peak performance coaches who are all amazing, but I just couldn't get myself to commit because, I've got a bit of a flaw when it comes down to like identifying myself as a, all in or all out person. And so, I really always say to myself, like, well, I'm either all in with business or with fitness. And that's kind of like how my identity is, I guess, made up. And what I, of course, have done myself, right, which is my responsibility. And so like now I'm working on that and really striving for a balance. But I'll get into that in a little bit because, being in 2021 in June, right, so we did 500K cash. And me and Danique, my girl, we decided to go on a trip, right? Because we were like, well, we haven't done anything in like 6 months. And, guys, if you got a partner too, and It's important to have also experiences that you both go through together, like going on an awesome trip or just taking your girl out for dinner. And I wasn't doing any of those things, and I love her so much for actually, not being like very high maintenance and actually being very supportive and making my food and always, taking care of me. And to me, that is invaluable, to be very honest with you. And so, going into July, right? So right the month after June, and ever since we always have done 4 or 500K cash months. And we actually did a record month in October, but I'll dive into that in a bit. But we went on a 7-day trip to just reset. And, so we went to Ibiza. And man, it was really hot there. We actually got sunburned. I remember I got sunburned like here because I hired a yacht for a day with my girl, because, work hard, play hard, right? And we barely go on trips. I was like, hey, if we go, we may as well do it right. So we spent like 5,000 euros just for our dad to do it for a day. And it was awesome. It was incredible. It was fantastic. Very memorable experience. So I'm very happy I did that. And the guy who was the captain on the boat too was awesome. I gave him a big tip too. But with that being said, so yeah, we got sunburned and I didn't really get to rest, to be very honest with you, because I think I had like 12 team members at a time. And, the problem that we had was that our delivery just wasn't streamlined just yet. And I'm sure too, when you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to put your Slack away. It's hard to put yourself away that, you've created habits around of doing. When you wake up, you go to your, IG, Facebook, you do your stories, or you make your YouTube video, or you do your whatever, or you film your ad. And it's different than now the next day you're in Spain and you're on an island and you have all these responsibilities, and the next day you can't just say, well, I'm not going to check on anything. You could if you have a team. And so for me, I have a team, and I had a team at that time too, but it just wasn't fully optimized and really very optimal in terms of like how it was set up. So that's kind of what happened at the time. And so then also my business was at its highest it has ever been at that point, right? So like going from June to July. But also the thing was, and I mentioned it before, my health was at the lowest it has ever been. Like I started to get these heart palpitations, and I think my sleep was pretty good, but I stopped exercising. My nutrition was terrible. I was like eating 1 kebab a day. And it's all on me. Like, I'm the one putting that into my mouth and ordering it, you know what I mean? But yeah, with time, you really start to realize that you're starting to create this rabbit hole for yourself that you don't want to go down in on, because at that point I was like, what makes like the money valuable if your health's going to get detrimented and you may die? Like it's going to mean jack, if you're dead. And so my girl too started to get concerned, and with that, I started to get concerned too. And I was torn because I wanted to come back and be like, let's go to $1 million a month now, and it's like what a lot of entrepreneurs do, right? And some keep their health in check and they do great jobs, don't get me wrong, but this is what was the case for me. And so I had to make a decision because again, of the identity that I created for myself at that time. And so again, I was torn between just scaling to 1 million a month or taking a good rest. And, it really just took me 6 to 7 months to realize that taking a step back to take 2 forward is the best thing to do. And it's the most difficult thing to do, Like I don't regret it at all, because right now, I've made a decision and I'm very happy with where we're at. Like we have enough cash reserves to actually retire if we want to, but heck, why would anyone want to when you love the game and you have all this freedom? You know what I mean? So yeah, like right now I'm at a point where I've taken that step back, and I'm very happy that I'm doing that because now I've got time to innovate, and test things and see what works and see what doesn't. And just a quick thing too, in terms of like a revenue, we also hit another record month in October at 584K cash collected in that month. And then also a funny thing before I moved to 2022, because these were like kind of the big events, guys. Like I don't have anything exciting to tell you. Like I really just put my head down. And of course there's more things that happened, but these are like kind of the big events that I want to like point out. And, with that being said, so we also had like a big accounting problem in October that we had to solve. And my team member Yab, he's incredible. We pretty much like needed all the billing addresses from all of our clients, for the books, and we didn't have any. Okay, so it was like a 2-month sprint to get all that together. Otherwise, the tax bill would be so huge, and we couldn't migrate from the Netherlands to Portugal, because I'm actually going to move to Portugal. I'll cover that in a bit. But that's what happened, and we solved it, and it is all good now. But it's a big lesson that I've learned from, because I didn't expect to skill that hard in 2021. To be frank with you, honestly, even if I didn't skill that hard, I think I would have still made that same mistake. To be very honest. But yeah, so we had a big accounting problem. We had to recollect all the billing addresses, all the VAT IDs, and make it tax deductible and all that stuff. And it was like a lot because we skilled heavily and we did all these custom things. So yeah, that's what happened there. But then since then we've been maintaining the business, management consulting around 400 to 500K per month. And so with that whole year, right, just happening and creating 28 millionaires and 226 figure plus coaches, I actually decided that I wanted to start a second business because now I had leverage, capital, assets. And I was like, well, how can I put this to use? Because I don't want 2022 to be a push season and be in the business and go all in. I want to innovate. I want to leverage what I've built in this push season, right? And that's what I see the most successful entrepreneurs do too. Like they use what they've built as stepping stones, right? And so the quicker you do that, not like in a way where you want to rush, but when you have the ability to do that, you know what I mean? And so that's exactly what I did. And I started appointmentsetter.com in, I think, like late December. And then we officially launched in January. And funnily enough, we also did 100K cash collected with that in the first month, second month. And then, in March, we actually had a record month of 120K cash collected. And then, last one, Winter Consulting, we've done about 400K cash collected with the business. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at, guys. And so 2022, we're going to be covering that right now and kind of, what I'm planning to do and my values and how they've changed. So in the year of 2022, I'm taking it very, very differently to how I'm approaching 2021. Because yes, we did 5 million cash collected in this year, but my expenses were 1.6 million. And I'm also going to get a pretty big tax bill. So, we've profited like, 2.5 million, but, still got to pay taxes. We profited 3.5 million, but I've still got to pay taxes, right? And so with that being said, I'm now also looking at those things. And the values have went from working hard and going all in to now, in 2021, to now keeping it simple, staying profitable, making sure I'm doing things that make me happy, and having room to innovate, and being a better man for my team, for my girl, and for myself, and for my clients. And these are the boring things that no one sees. Like you don't see me do this on YouTube videos. Like this is what you do in private, and you work on yourself. And it must be said, right? Because I think like a lot of people, including myself, like I thought that, you just have to kind of be a showman, for social media. But people don't fall in love with you just being a showman. They fall in love with who you are. And so it's important to become more of who you are and expand on that and become authentic and not try to be someone else. And so that's what I'm pouring into as well. So those are the values that I'm taking into 2022. And so, I've restructured my team. I actually did a Facebook post and Instagram post too around this. You can find it on my socials. And I basically have a team of 7 now, right? So I'm focused on just really getting talented team members and pouring into talented team members. I'm really focused on ads. And I'm also, the ads, we haven't even made a sale from it yet. I mean, we've made some low ticket offer sales, but I'll save it for another video. So we're doing ads, recruiting talent, and we're really making more longer term decisions. And that's also why I want to start YouTube, because I never really showed the personality side of me, and I really just want to do that, right? Because I love doing it and I get energy from it. And right now I actually have the time for it because I've scaled my business back, right? And that's also why I was gone, for 2 years. So guys, I would say that's pretty much, like a quick summary of what I've been able to accomplish over these last 2 years, what I've been up to, the ups, the downs, the values that I'm going into 2022. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I've also got a few free awesome resources that you can find in the description. Other than that, if you guys want me to cover any specific topics, please let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, I hope you all have an awesome day.